Hello, you. Welcome to Geekism and welcome to Pinewood Hills in Planet Coaster. I'm honestly not sure if I would ever say that again, to be honest with you, and it feels very great to say it, if I'm completely honest with you. It's been 5 years since I last said it on this channel. Just under 5 years, actually. It was August of 2019. I had just moved to Canada, and Mike Sheets had the park for a little while, and in the last episode number 58, we went over the awesome stuff that he had done in it, and I mentioned 10 other things I was going to get done, and then just didn't. So, why Pinewood? Why is it back? Well, I've always wanted to come back and finish the park, honestly. There is a big problem, I think, with these kind of games on YouTube, and it's not just a Planet Coaster thing. Planet Zoo, Cities Skylines, Parkitect, even things like Minecraft, where these large sort of scale projects are taken on, and very few of them finish. They just end. And for every No Name Landia and Koali Beach there's numerous other projects that just don't to the finish line, and I never wanted Pinewood to be one of those. I've started multiple projects across the channel in both Coaster and Zoo and all the other games, and very rarely do you actually get to the end of them. They sort of fizzle off as the views don't happen anymore, or you lose your mojo, or creative vibe. And I never wanted that to happen with Pinewood. This is an absolute pet project of mine. I've always wanted to come back and finish it. And now I sort of am able to. So why Pinewood? Why now? So really, the last time I was in Pinewood, it was 5 years ago. And everything was going well. We just got to Canada. Since then, overall, things are still going pretty good. But I have been through a divorce. I am still in Canada. My family is still in Canada, and we're very happy here. But I've had to move out into an apartment, get myself a day job, a proper job, so to speak. And I'm just now finding myself with the time to get back to creating content. So if you haven't been around on the channel recently, you won't have noticed, but I've actually been back making content for a few months now, for about 3 or 4 months consistently. And I really wanted to make sure I could get back into that groove, make sure I could get back into that vibe before bringing something like Pinewood back to the channel, because I owe it to you. I owe it to the viewers to make sure that I can sort of keep my promise, basically. I want to come and finish this park, and this isn't just going to be another restart where we get 1 or 2 episodes and then nothing happens. I want to get this I don't want to say I want to get it done, because I don't feel like I'm sort of finishing up for the sake of it. I'm actually enjoying my time back in the game again, but I want to get it complete. I want to be able to provide a save file for you to go and look around in, and just to be able to say that, you know what, I did it. I finished it. I got to the end of what we were trying to do. We'll talk about what we're doing actually on screen in a little moment, but I just want to kind of get those out of the way. If you are just randomly finding this for some reason, there are 58 episodes before this one. If you are watching this in the future and you're working through the playlist and you wonder why I'm talking like this, there's been 5 years since the last episode in this one. So a lot has happened. A lot has happened in real life. A lot has happened in video games, YouTube. But I'm back in a bit of a vibe right now. Very much enjoying my time being back. Very much enjoying all of the great feedback I've had from all of you wonderful people who've been watching other content. And I just felt like right now was the right time to sort of come back and hopefully, not hopefully, it's going to happen, finish Pinewood. I'm not even saying hopefully, I'm going to do it. I'm going to finish Pinewood Hills, and maybe even we'll look back at some of the other projects that we started. Because of that, I will say that one thing that isn't really going to happen in Pinewood here and in some of the other projects I try and sort of wrap up, we're not going to be adding a ton of new stuff. He says, as he puts down a new ride, but there's not going to be any sort of huge expansive areas in these things. I want to try and sort of cap them off and keep them manageable. So whilst there will probably be a flat ride or 2 going in just to kind of fill the space, I mean, really that's why it's happening. They're filling space rather than sort of expanding the areas. We have a few sort of dead spots that a park like Pinewood would fill with these relatively cheap to operate and manufacture flat rides. So we're having a couple of drop towers in here. That's the other thing, I realised there was no drop towers in the place. I really wanted one. I actually had put one by the ghost train, by the haunted house over there, but that didn't survive. That was going to become part of the adventure area, but that never really happened. One thing I will say is, though, the adventure area did happen at some point since the last episode 5 years ago. I've come into I can't remember this, but I've come into the game and worked on the adventure area a little bit. And I haven't really shown it off here because I just assumed there was a video about it, but there wasn't. I went back and watched the last couple just to sort of see what was the last few things that you folks got to see. The adventure area has come on a little bit using that awesome coaster that Mike got done for me. So at the end of the time-lapse section here, we will go into a walkover view. We'll do like a Tejicam look at that new area. It isn't finished, and to be honest with you, looking back of it now, I'm not super happy with a lot of it. So that's going to get changed up anyway in one of the upcoming episodes. We'll do some tweaking there. But yeah, so let's talk about what we've got here. Then we have a double drop tower. I literally call it double drop, and I wanted this to be a very late-looking addition to the park. So early 2000s, very garish, very cheap looking. Most probably was originally a branded ride, but then they've since lost the brand. If you think of something like the Pepsi Max at Blackpool, it's now just called the Big One, or did they got Pepsi Max back again? Did it or something? I can't quite remember. But yeah, there was a. This happens a lot. Rides get rethemed and re-IP'd. So I wanted to sort of have the look that maybe this was IP based originally, but then got removed. But I wanted it to look like it was being repurposed onto an original part of the park. So that's why the surrounding area here, the foundational bit that takes it down to the water, looks a little bit old school. The idea was that was already there, and then they've just sort of concreted over and put this in. I also go to the trouble of making a sort of old school ticket booth that the rides are based around, with the idea that maybe that's a little listed building that they couldn't do anything with. Thinking about it now, it probably wouldn't really happen because the listed building sat in between these two huge rides that they put in. I don't think could have happened really, but that's kind of the idea I wanted to go with. It was that it was a ticket booth for a little ferry ride or something around the lake, and that's all been took out since. But now it's just this sort of big open tarmac flat. You'll see here that we've just got pure cattle penning going in. And then the theming, this is a bit of a nod to Alton Towers. They have a habit of doing this with some of their stuff. The Smiler has a bit of this going on. A lot of their Halloween stuff that they do each year has a bit. They just put down shipping crates and say it's theming. It's a bit of a Merlin thing, so I kind of just like the idea of the ride just being like shipping crates and road signs. It was just like a really cheap re-theme when the original drink company or whatever didn't renew their sponsorship. But the ride itself is pretty good. It looks really great on the skyline and looks really really good up against the lake. So very happy with how the ride looks, but just wanted the theming to be really sort of tacky and cheap. And then here's this little sort of building that we're putting in. And then also, just kind of relearning the game a little bit. This is I've dipped in and out of Planco on and off for the last 5 years. Just none of it's ever made it to YouTube, but I definitely have sort of gone in and had a little mess around, or even sometimes I'll just load up parks and have a walk around them. I'll very often just wander around Azuri Gardens or even wander around Pinewood here. That wasn't me telling you that Azuri Gardens was coming back. I won't put that on mast. Although I will say one of the big reasons that I'm back in Planco right now is because of Mass Bandit going back to Conifer Slopes. If you haven't seen it, you need to go and watch it. He's back in Conifer and he's doing exactly what I'm doing here. Actually, he's probably going to a little bit more effort, but basically he's looking at finishing up the park as well. So and that was one of the big reasons that made me go, yeah, do you know what? Fine, let's do it. I've been umming and ahhing about it for a good 6 months now with Pinewood, and him going back to Conifer was the thing that made me sit up and say, right, come on, let's actually get this done and get it finished for people to see. So yeah, I've had an absolute blast back in the game, just having to sort of relearn stuff, refine stuff. Like I used to be able to find all of these scenery pieces just by typing in 3 letters, you know, like I'd know exactly what to look for. But occasionally you will see me just fly across to the other side of the park, and it literally just be to grab something where I know it is. I did it with the air conditioning unit that I just could not find before. I did it with some lights, and then also Mike put in the awesome cable car here. Didn't quite finish off some of the supports, so went back and did those. Then I was in nighttime mode and realized that there was quite a few places that didn't have any lighting. One of the big areas, Mass Bandit, if you're watching, is your area. There is 0 lighting. I'm going to have to go and do a lighting pass on that. But also I found there was other spots that didn't have it as well, such as the go-kart track here, and decided to build these sort of big sort of floodlight structures and put them up. Again, the lighting in this is going to be very sort of utility lighting as opposed to anything else. And here now then we've put a new ride in, so you know you've got the thumbnail, you've got the new hotness. But most of what's going to be happening with Pinewood right now is this kind of stuff, just where rides meet rides, green triangles need to go away. And this boat ride in the last episode, I didn't realize that I moved this after the last episode. The last episode, this was the other side of the park, and it's been moved over, and it's nestled really quite nicely in the spot that did have the SLC for a while. Before that, it had the bobsled coaster. There's been so many iterations on this area. I'm actually very happy with how this is turning out, though. We now have this in, and I started just kind of joining up the first flat there of Mass Bandit's area into this, and because of that, I started putting some stones in, and then I ended up custom curbing this, which is ridiculous. You shouldn't do this. This is way too much work, way too much effort. It looks amazing. Don't do it. You will get hand cramps. So do as I do. Do as I say, not as I do. I'm really happy with the fact that I went and took the trouble to do this. And I will say this right now, I haven't done all of it yet. I pretty much just do this curve, and that was enough. I realized afterwards while I was doing it that this kind of menial work is perfect for a live stream, and I would absolutely love to check in with you all and have a little chat. So yeah, we're going to live stream this on Saturday mornings. I'm currently free Saturday mornings. I don't work until the afternoon, and I don't have Xander on Saturdays. So I have Saturday morning free, and I'm very often just laying around in bed or watching a bit of TV. So no, we're going to get proactive, and we're going to do a couple of live streams. So if you're watching this as it's released, tomorrow there will be a live stream filling in the curbing here, and a few other bits maybe based on people's suggestions, and just sort of tuning in with all of you really and having a chat and seeing how we're getting on. We can show off some of these little bits here. We've got a fence there that's looking a little bit ropey that had a stone fence, a wooden fence in before it, excuse me. And then here we have a little bit of fencing. Again, just kind of starting to fill in these areas and making it a good mix between, you know, a nice little themed bit, and then sometimes you just need a fence. And again, I'm just sort of referencing back a lot of the time to all of the UK parks, places like Flamingo Land, places like Blackpool Pleasure Beach, Thorpe Park. They very often have a bit of a dichotomy between the, oh, here's a nice little theme bit, here's just some fencing, it needs to happen. So I try and sort of really carry on a lot of that stuff as we move in. And here I'm just sort of redoing the queue area for this one ride, just because we had to move it around with the water ride moving. Other than that, I'm not really touching John's area here. I don't think he named this one though, so we just do a little signage. You'll see I bought the Orbiter sign over there just to make sure the scale and budget wise I was staying in keeping with his area. But yeah, we call it Rocktopus, which is a little bit of a nod to the spinning ride in Azuri Gardens as well, which was a little bit more themed. It actually used the octopus theme one. Back into do a little bit more here. So I found that the stone there, it's actually a haunted house piece, and it's beautiful. The brickwork there, it's great for this kind of stuff. I use it all over the place, to be honest with you. It's really good for the exterior of those curves. It's too big for the interior. So on the interior, we're going to be going back to the windows as walls technique, the classic windows as walls techniques. Here, just using them as windows as concrete filler. And then we'll sort of, I think I get to about here and I'm like, right, that'll do. We'll come back into the rest later. And then we're just sort of edging off the area there where the grass meets the concrete with a little bit of foliage. Made me realise just how few foliage options we have in Planet Coaster. I mean, we're just so spoiled by Zoo, weren't we? Let's be honest. Then we're moving over to another art piece character. For those of you who don't know, this ride is meant to be sort of my take on the really sort of cheesy, they're not even animatronic, very often just things like this. Gulliver's Kingdom in the UK had a lot of this sort of stuff, the Alice in Wonderland ride at Blackpool, and then the big one I'm really pushing for with this one is the In the Night Garden ride that's currently at CBeebies at Alton Towers. They just have a little boat ride that goes around, and there's just statues of things, and let's be actually some of them do move, the arms move, or they're small enough to sort of bob up and down, or there's a little one that's like a little on a train track that moves around in a circle, but it's very limited. You can't really even call them animatronics. They're just sort of little things with motors in them. We obviously can't make these things move, but that's the idea. The arms would maybe move in and out, and yeah, we ended up with a little bit of space there, so I added in the Queen of Hearts after the card soldiers, and then I got rid of all of the castle walls that I'd done around this place. It was so early on that I put those in, and the idea always was that they were sort of formed concrete to look like castle walls, but I don't think that sort of stuff reads very well in Planco, honestly. It looks like castle walls, and it just looks really highly themed and not really what we're looking for. So got rid of all of those and instead rebuilt the queue line. It's not really the station. It is going to be an open station, and this isn't finished. This is the queue line building, but the station will still need some work after this, but this is the queue line building that is pretty much a copy of In the Night Garden at CBeebies Land. So that's what the ride is an homage to. So I thought, let's go and have a look what the station looks like there, and it is classic sort of Tower Street station, shingled roof, wooden trim, and I think it looks 1,000 times better. I'm going to have to really stop myself going back and just remaking the whole park, to be honest with you, because there's so many parts now I'm looking at and just thinking, I could just probably have another go at that. But a lot of it is still pretty good, but there are some things that was never really happy with, and the castle walls in the entry to this ride was definitely one of those things. Trying desperately to find something to put there, can't in the end. I think there's a clock that works out quite nicely. So this area is a little raised from the path, and I'm quite happy with that. Did definitely want to do it, even though the queue line is a little bit funky there. So sort of made the most of that and built the building up. You'll see that the clearance is quite low on the station side of things, just so it didn't tower over the path there. But they get under there quite nicely, and it's not so much of a problem. You'll see here I rebuild that path in there, again, much lower to the ride. It's going to be a bit of a sort of head chopper moment, but still fine with that. Happy that that's still a little janky, and we'll do a little wooden cover over that bridge in the future. Here we just sort of get this finished. So a little bit of a cattle pen queue there, so we put some roped area in so we can cut that off when it's not needed, which, let's be honest, it rarely is. I think I see like 3 people ride this ride, to be honest, while the park's open. I think I have 1,000 people in the park right now. The game wants to put like 10,000 in, but it's just insane. But I think I capped it at 1,000, and because of that, they pretty much just all gravitate to the coasters and some of the newer flat rides. So this area at the moment doesn't really have much going on, although the boomerang, the boomerang is staying. I'm going to find a home for the boomerang. This is a British theme park. It has to have a boomerang in it. They all did. So yeah, there will be a home for the boomerang, and where it is right now is probably where it will end up. And we also need just a little bit of something to get people using the cable car more. Actually, the guests do ride the cable car, but like thematically there needs to be a reason to come over to this side of the park. People aren't riding the cable car to come over for this car ride and for the show building. So the boomerang will end up over here. I think, and then we also need to just sort of finish off the adventure area and tie up all of that. We're going to have a look at it in a real-time segment in a moment because it's really difficult to describe, and it's I'm having a couple of issues in figuring out how it all really goes together. But this little bit here, I am actually quite happy with. I don't end up with a name for this ride. I need to come up with a name so we can put a little bit of sign on the front of it. But otherwise, here we are in a live section then, just take a little look. I'm not going to do like a full walkthrough today, but I'll just quickly go over everything for you. We have the entrance plaza here, and then the original park would have came down this way into a row of games, and then we have Thunderer, big classic Woody. Little Thunder over here, which is that little figure 8 one to go with it, and then up this way we have a couple of extra ticketed distractions. So there's one of the bouncy ball things, and then we have a balloon over there. Weep, there it is, that you can pay to go up as well. And then we have this gorgeous promenade that was put together by Mike. Did a beautiful job here along the prom, which ties in to our pier, with a couple of different flat rides and an arcade down the bottom of it. It's sort of a classic British pier using the vintage pack. We have our cinema, which is sort of more of the Googie style architecture that is mostly now in this area that was done by the awesome Ruble Trillions. We have the speedway running around there, and some other amazing Googie architecture buildings with this beautiful chair swing here as well. And then moving through the Googie area into Gulpy Land, which is our sort of IP heavy kids area. So this is going to be purchased by the Gulpy company, and they sort of now sponsor this area, much like a lot of kids stuff in the UK is sponsored mostly by TV, to be honest. CBeebies, Nickelodeon, that kind of thing. But yeah, we don't really have that in this game. We do have drinks though, so one of the drinks can do it. And then here is Double Drop, our newest addition. Really kind of happy with how terrible it looks, to be honest with you. That's kind of the point there. It's got a little bit of a smiler vibe to it, you know, a little bit of a just how can we theme this cheaply vibe to it. And then that is the Gulpy area, and that ties around into the Gulpy coaster, which is a good little get a kiddie coaster there. It has a really great queue on it. We have the show area. The front of this we're pretty happy with. The back of it, this is the area that really needs a lot of work. We're going to come to it in a moment, but first of all, I'll show you where the put in water ride is then. So we're now looking at it here. It butts right up against the 70s area from John from Mass Bandit, which is incredible, including the classic arrow over there as well. What an amazing job he did of all of this. Really just great. Just love the fact that it's just big open tarmac spaces. It's just exactly what we needed in the park to sort of show the development from the sort of classic cobblestones and twee little buildings to this large tarmac area is exactly the sort of thing we were looking for. And, a little bit of height variation. Doesn't happen much, but we do have a little bit of it. So, yes, it now brings it, we fit it over here, and I think it's a really great fit for it. And I love the fact that it sort of butts right up here, and we have to do some, I love all of this, fencing where rides join together, and we've got the metal fence here that's not looking too great, but it looks a little bit better than the wooden fence that was here before it. That's now just sort of overgrown with some weeds as they've replaced it with some metal fencing. We like that, and we can see the beginnings of the edging here. I mean, it makes such a huge difference, right? Like, it goes from, let's have a look. This is what it looks like at the gate. I've actually coloured it grey just to help hide the few bits that peek out. But this is how it looks, and I'm amazed I was happy with this, if I'm honest with you. Looking at this now, I can't believe that I was looking at that and thinking it was done. This is exactly how this should go. This should just be a big concrete trough that the water is running through. It shouldn't be this sort of fancy plexiglass with bumpers all along it. No, this ride is a big concrete trough that the boat gets absolutely battered around. If there was a little bit more room, I would even look at having like tires on the sides here just to help it bounce off. But yes, it's exactly what we need to do, and you'll see here the difference between the outside and the inside. I'm happy with that. We'll probably come up with a few different methods of concreting this all the way around as we go. And then here is our new Queen of Hearts. She's pretty big, to be honest with you, like a bit bigger than I thought she was going to be. May look at shrinking her down a little bit, but then also she could just be one of the larger ones, you know, like we have the boot round here that's a little bit larger as well, so maybe it's not terrible. But yeah, overall, really happy with these. It all just needs tying in, so we'll carry on with this concreting. It's going to go right up to here. We'll concrete all of this, probably up to the edge of the coaster fencing there. To be honest with you, the don't die fencing. Just love the fact that yes, you get a shot of the coaster. That's really cool. But then also there's just don't die fencing at the back here. Like it'll all get tied in with some concrete, but I think it'll look really great. And then I think we actually need a couple more scenes. I also want to redo this tunnel. Again, this is one of those things where in real life, this is what it would look like. But in the game, it just looks unfinished. And like this, I've seen these. Like you can go and look at rides like this in the UK, and there will just be a brick tunnel because that's just a thing. Oh, we're in the tunnel. Cool. What does it do? Nothing. It's a tunnel. It breaks the eyesight for a moment, and that's interesting. But it just doesn't really work very well, I don't think. Saying that though, the one at Alton Towers, the In the Night Garden ride, has a few moments where you go under trellis, planted trellis. And that looks great. So I'm going to try and do that. I think there are some trellis pieces. If not, we can look at building some using some ivy and stuff. But yeah, definitely want to do that. I need to figure out how to tie the station in with all of this as well. I don't mind the fact that you can just see the ride from the station. I think that's fine. But it just needs to get tied in a little bit, so you can't just see the whole thing. We need to just bring in the foresting a little bit, really, up into the area. But otherwise, yeah, we need to tie the rest of the station in, and then we come round for the big finish, which is the dragon there. Happy with all of that, and again, all of this will most likely just be a forest area here. So here's the space we need to work on. Here is the adventure area. Like I said, I actually built this in this episode, and yeah, just didn't realize that I hadn't actually shown the adventure area off. So this is all sort of big, sort of stucco stuff here. Be all sort of what's that, PVC? What's the words? The just like big. It's like plastic over netting. I can't think what it's called now to make this sort of stuff. But it's it's gross and it's falling to bits. That's what we're looking for here. Think I might need to tone it down a little bit though. Like I use these pieces here, which I think is from a Ghostbusters set, but this might just be better as wooden planks, to be honest with you, just to take the edge off a little bit. Inside here, we've still kept wooden plank stuff here just to keep the cost down a little bit. But then on the outside, this is actually, I'm really happy with how this turned out. Actually, this is a weird little nod to something that none of you will know. My mom was a waitress for many, many years, and she worked at a place in Hensford called the Lost Mine. It's long gone now, and it was a really heavily themed bar that was way too themed and like expensive for the town it was in, and it lasted a couple of years. They had a wall that was like this. It was all sort of fake rock with skull in them, and it was amazing. I loved looking at it as a kid, and that's just a weird little reference to that. I couldn't even find a picture of it. I tried to find one to show you. I couldn't even find a picture of it. So here we go then. This is our adventure area that I started off camera, so I apologize for that. And I hope the vibe here is let's put up some brown plaster and some wood and some rope and call it adventure. And this is I'm trying to sort of reference Lightwater Valley's pirate area here, because it's just netting and wood and a little bit of stucco, and that's kind of what I'm going for here. I have decided to put a few palms in, thinking that maybe the place could manage with a few palms. Looking at it though now, they just look so odd that I think they have to come out, and instead we'll just replace them with regular trees. I don't mind a few ferns in here to kind of change it up from what we used to normally use, but yeah, thinking about it, I'm not convinced on the palms. Maybe I'll change those out. But here we have one of these crazy things. I've never been on one of these, but I see them around at parks a lot. And again, this is an idea that we've continued to do through Pinewood from the very beginning, really. cheap ride, spend a little bit of money on a theme. And that's kind of what we've got here. Very cheap ride. I mean, you literally just sort of see all of the metal that keeps this thing working. You know, it looks like a fairground ride, but they've done a little bit of plastering work here to create a bit of a sort of Arabian Nights type look, and that's is what it is. And then over here we have some churros and bonanza. Again, you know, it's just a building. It's just a box, but they've chosen sort of brown plaster and some wood logs and barrels to kind of theme it light adventure, and I hope that comes across. That's what I'm going for here, is very light adventure. And this then backs onto the awesome coaster, the SLC, with the model from Flamingo Land, and then I started on the station here, but I don't like this. This is all going to go away. Yeah, not too happy with how this has turned out at all. Definitely will take that away. Here, this will just be some cattle pen and then a very forested long queue line there that can get cut off if it needs to. And then over here would have been a pirate ship, to be honest with you. This was going to be a pirate ship because I thought that fit the adventure area. The pirate ship in this game, though, is just huge and way too themed. So instead we've got one of these, whatever it's called, and that's kind of how we're doing it. And again, just kind of keep the theming very light. It's a wooden rope. Could probably do with a little bit of shade to this place. We might come in and do a little bit of shading. But otherwise, I'm kind of happy with how this looks. Here, I've put in a little bit of it. Again, this is very light water valley. If you go and have a look at the pirate area of light water valley, there's basically a thing in the middle of a path that's just this. It's like they've just laid out some barrels and planks, and there's an animatronic on there. It doesn't move. It's just like some statues. So that's kind of what I've gone for there. Maybe this is a little bit too over the top. I don't know. I kind of dig it though. And then we have this pool area that again just needs to sort of be cut in, because over here we have this huge chairlift station that I've just got to try and figure out something to do. So I've just started boxing it in. All of this very, very unfinished. This is meant to be sort of like a maintenance shed for it here. But somehow got to find a way of sort of boxing off this bridge here so that the guests can't necessarily see everything. Don't mind them seeing bits, but, you know, don't necessarily want to see them seeing everything. Don't mind the chairlift seeing the back of the stage either. I think that's very jank, and I kind of dig that. But all of this needs boxing in, so it all makes sense with the boomerang. And I just feel like this is a perfect spot for the boomerang, so I think that's going to do it, and that is going to be the edge of the park. We're just going to finish off this road here. I know in the past I've talked about doing the sort of Pinewood Manor, the sort of stately home that would originally have been part of this park. I just don't know how I'm going to fit it in with the rest of the park, tie it in. Don't really feel like doing the big gardens for it and what have you. So I think we're just going to finish what we've got and finish it well rather than really working into new areas. So over the next couple of episodes, this really is the area we've got going. Over here, we've got the campsite. This is a very open area, but it's purposefully open. Probably needs a little bit of a pass with some... I don't know why there's so many people over here, but okay. Probably needs a little bit of pass with some foliage just to kind of break up a little bit. What we can do now... No, we can't. That's in Planet Zoo. I was going to say we've got invisible paths now, but no, we haven't. That's a Planet Zoo thing. Very difficult when you're playing both. I'll be honest with you, I've been dipping into Planet Zoo recently as well. Very difficult when you're in both to remember what you can do in one and not the other. But this kind of would be a road here. We need to finish up the parking lot, and then this comes around to the high ropes course. Kind of forgot about a lot of this, but it's pretty solid, isn't it? We've got this awesome high ropes course back here. Never see a guest up here. I mean, we could do this with the path, where we've put in rock to make a path. We could do that. We could close off this is just an actual roundabout and do rock here. And then at some point we do need to kind of cap off this area and finish this off as well. I think probably a gate here, similar to what we have here. We could probably just copy and paste this, to be honest with you. But if we took this and added it in there, and it could be like a early access to the park for chalet guests type thing, but it needs to be a little bit more official than just a fence, I think. And then here, yeah, like all this just needs tidying up a little bit, but I'm very happy to have these spots of jank. Like, I think they're good. This is maybe a little bit too much jank here with these all of these trash cans, but I do kind of like some of this stuff. Were these like purposefully broken? What are these? I didn't realize they were all in separate parts. That's kind of interesting. Huh, neat. Okay, I never noticed that they were broke, but that's cool. But happy with a lot of this sort of stuff. I think it's fine to be a little bit jank. And then there was a ride here. I got rid of it. I think a tree line there is good to break up the area. And then in the very beginning of this episode, I fenced all of this in, stonewalled all of this in, and started doing this. This kind of needs to be all or nothing. I think we need to kind of carry this down all of here, or at least more than just these two. These big smooth edges of stone here, it's just not good enough. It's like here, especially where you can see where the terrain tool's been. Like a lot of this needs all of this sort of stuff in. So we'll do that over time as well. That's very live streamable stuff. So like we've got here, we'll carry that all the way around. And then here we've just got this big sheet of concrete where we put in the kiddie ride. Not sure about this bit. I liked it at the time, the fact that it went... it's just very bad down there, don't look down there. But I liked it at the time that it went out into the water, but don't know whether it would. Don't know whether it would without some sort of serious netting around it. Let me know if you're a bit more of a coaster person than me. Nerd Chacho, I'm going to guess you're watching this. Give me a comment, buddy. Nerd Chacho, by the way. Awesome British content creator who does... a lot of stuff in Planet Coaster. Still now makes amazing Planet Coaster stuff, but also has a good eye for coasters. It knows his coasters very well, but also has a really good eye for British jank. So is this okay? Does this need changing? Do we need another little area here? Do we need to make it like? Could this ever happen? Does it need netting around it? Let me know. I'm not sure. And then here we put this in again, like an original sort of little outlook area. That just would look over the lake. Maybe would have had some nice little pavilions in, but now it's just been tarmacked and had a couple of drop towers stuck on it. I kind of dig that. And then here we just got a nice little grassy area. So really, oh my goodness, what are these? No idea where they came from. And then this is like a little bandstand area, and then that ties us right round to the pier. This beautiful wooden coaster has a nice little bridge there. We're so close. I mean, I really think we are 90% there. I mean, if you look at that, it's done. We need to finish off here. We need to box this off and fill this in with trees just to line it all off. Although this whole area needs to be a lot bigger based on my Google mapping. I've noticed that the parking lot very often is the same size as the theme park, so we might have to take this down as long as it'll go, but still, it's done, you know? Like, if we look at the park from here, it is done. We just need that extra 10% finishing off this area. So, plan then is... this green triangle here will have a building in it. We need some food stuff. We don't have anywhere near enough food or toilets. So this will have a little building in it here. We will station the boomerang and start tying all of this in. And we're going to keep this theme. And we're going to make it so that this area was maybe all built together. Or if not together, was the buildings were continued based off of this design because this has been here and it's old and classic. So I might do something like that. And again, we still need to cap off that. But we're going to have this theming here into a building with some chairs and tables for some food options. Part of me would love if this was the other way around and the station was on this side. But maybe that's a little bit too easy. I'm not sure. There is something to be said about having that profile of the ride there as you come into this area here. Yeah, I do actually quite like that. Annoyingly, we had custom supports for this, and they're now gone. I'm just going to check they're not over here in the graveyard. No, that's just my janky SLC. What have we got down here? Just a couple of food carts and stuff to throw around the place. Yeah, nothing there. Yeah, okay. I guess we probably try and custom support this again then. Just the corners here, just the big sort of ones down like that. Maybe this needs to go a little over that way, just to kind of let us do it. But yeah, that's probably going to be next episode. We'll get that boomerang locked in. I want the park to have a boomerang. It's, an absolute classic budget park roller coaster, and it needs to be in there. But yeah, again, if you're watching this, I'm waffling now, I'm going to finish this up. If you're watching this at time of release tomorrow, we will carry on with all of this in a live stream. If not, I'll show off what we got done in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry it's been 5 years. Until the next one, be good.